Well, Patty, the weather has started to change, and I have actually started to see some color on the trees here in northeast Indiana, which means we're not too far away from leaf peeping season.
Yes.
So I thought maybe we'd talk about it in this episode of Travels with Delaney.
The podcast.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. My name's Patrick.
I'm Patty.
And we are joined on the podcast couch today by none other than Mr. Truman Marshall. That's right. And Bess is sitting over in the theater seats like she does so often. Kind of like it's like we have an audience.
Yeah, she's like the crowd.
Yeah, it's like the crowd for the recording of the podcast.
And the reason she's over there is that she has her food and she likes to protect her food.
Yeah, Truman already ate his.
And he would probably eat it, so she's over there on guard. Look at that.
Look at her. She's looking at you like, Mom, don't even think about eating my food.
And little girl is going to be a year older soon. September 1. It's coming right around the corner.
I know.
Can you believe she's going to be 6?
I know. It's crazy.
Both
Seems
of
like just
them.
yesterday we got these guys. So
Yeah.
time does fly by. And then speaking of time flying by.
Oh, look, good sequence.
We're heading into fall.
We are. One of my favorite camping seasons ever.
I know. And so one of the reasons you go camping is to enjoy the fall foliage.
Yes.
And I thought maybe today we'd share some of the favorite trips we've ever taken for fall foliage. But before we do that, we have to do another exciting round of this or that.
Well, of course. All right. I had my dinner. I think my synapses are connecting.
You ready?
I think
I'm going to keep this one fairly simple
all
for
right,
you.
okay.
But I want to keep it on this fall theme.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
So we
ready.
go find an apple orchard like we do a lot of times in the fall. And they have fresh squeezed apple cider. Are you getting a cup cold? Or are you getting a cup warm?
Ooh, tricky.
Yeah.
I love it both ways, especially with a little cinnamon stick. Oh my, that's a toughie. I think I'm going to go cold.
Cold for the win.
I think because if I do hot, it's got to be really cold, like you're sitting around a fire.
And here's the thing. If I said to you, the day we go and it's 85 degrees out, then you're going cold, right? But if I say, it's a rainy, dreary day and it's, 52 out,
then I'm going warm.
Yeah. So a lot of it just depends on what the temperature is, which way you like it.
I like it both ways. I love it. We have some good orchards around here that we can go get some nice apple cider.
Apple cider. Yeah, because when I think of fall, I do think of apple cider, donuts, primarily like cake donuts or apple cider donuts or something like that.
Or some with that cinnamon sugar.
Right, that's what I mean. The cake
outside.
goes with the cinnamon sugar on the outside. What are some other fall favorites?
You got
caramels.
Caramels.
Some people like caramel apples. I'm not really big into those.
I like apples where I dip it in the caramel.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you're right. I like that. I just don't care for the actual caramel apple.
No, I don't like stuff that sticks to my teeth
right.
very well. That's not. That's no bueno.
No bueno.
No le bene if you're going to be Italian. I like pumpkin pie in the fall.
Which, by the way, I hadn't even told you this. The pumpkin pies are back at Costco.
Oh my gosh, they're huge.
I know.
But
I was just at Costco this week, and I was like, they're back.
Well, now that you're talking places, didn't you get a something fall special treat at Starbucks?
I did. Also this week, pumpkin spice is back at Starbucks. I had a iced pumpkin spiced latte.
How was it?
It was delish.
Was it lovely?
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I'm not a huge pumpkin spice fan, but to me that is one of those signifiers that fall is here or coming. And so I went ahead and had one. I like it cold. But yeah, pumpkin spice.
Well, and then
is back
it's
at
always nice when it's cooler out. That's when you can enjoy, in my mind, a campfire better because it's cooler. You're not sweating your tail off. And you got the leaves changing, and it's crisp air, and the leaves are falling, and it's just, things are just so pretty.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Well, speaking of pretty and lovely, this episode's not about food of fall. It's about the foliage of fall. Yes, we digress.
Squirrel.
So there are lots of places, probably wherever you're at, there's some great foliage that you can see. But we have been on some trips.
Just to go
look at foliage. And we went several places over the years. And we're not going to rank them, but I know in the end I'll tell you which one was the best
I know
ever.
one was my favorite.
I guess we could rank them, but I think the ranking would be hard beyond the number 1 spot. I think after that, it's kind of
it's like a
wash.
mishmash.
Yeah.
Mush. Yeah.
So, yeah, and this may be the first fall we don't go on a fall. Normally, we take a special fall trip.
I don't think we can do that this fall.
No, this year's a little different because with working at the campground, we got to close down the campground. So we're just not going to have time this year. But do we want to save the number 1 one for last?
I think so. I'm trying to think of the other spot. One I could think of, it was kind of, the fall foliage wasn't great. I think it was when we hit it wrong, or it wasn't a great season.
And I think that's the key with any place you go is
the
timing.
Yeah.
And the best way that we have found to kind of gauge that, and I think this requires you to be flexible in your travel, because if you can't kind of
maneuver the weekend,
and things like that, then it's harder. But you have an app that you really like.
I like this app. I'll get it out. It's called Leaf Peeper. Leaf and then peep and then R. So Leaf Peep R. And what's cool about R,
like a pirate.
There's a little icon on there that you can click map. And then right now I got it set, and you can move it with your fingers. You squeeze in and you move it. It's like able to touch it. And everything is green right now. Nothing has changed. Even up in, go northern into Vermont and Maine and all that. Even Canada, it's not
still
changed
early.
Yet.
Right.
But this thing is cool because once things do start changing, you can see if it's moderate, peak, or if they're starting to fade. Fade means like that point where I think they start turning brown.
And falling off.
And then falling off the trees. But yeah, so this thing is really cool because, like, for us with teaching, sometimes it was nice to, if you had a little flexibility and, you didn't have to know exactly when, to know, okay, we need to try it the 3rd week because right now it's changing, or we're good, or, we're going to be okay. Yeah, it's kind of cool thing to look at. So, yeah. It's easy to find. I think it was. I don't know if it costs anything. I had it.
No, I think it's a free app.
I've had it so long, I don't remember.
So that can help you. But if you're like, well, we have our vacation set for the first weekend in October,
you're taking a guess.
Then you're kind of taking a guess.
Hit or miss,
So
because we've learned over the years that weather, not to get sciencey on you, but depends on the weather that area's had all summer. A lot of rain can ruin it if it's been really dry, or sometimes
there's all kinds of factors that play into.
A lot of sun or no sun, all this stuff. Colder temps, warmer temps, humidity, that kind of thing. So,
and location. I mean, it typically starts farther north
and works its way
down towards the south.
Or like if you're in the Smokies, in the upper elevations at the Smoky Mountain National Park, they'll get the color first, and then it comes down the mountain.
Right.
So. Yeah.
So I think you were going to mention a place.
I think the Great Smokies is one of them that we tried to hit the color.
Yeah.
And we I think we're too late or something. We missed it, or we were too. I can't remember.
Well, again, I think you just mentioned the thing about the Smokies is it's a really cool place to go for foliage, or it can be if you get there at the right time. But the thing about the Smokies, at least what I've seen in the few times we've went there in the fall, is theirs doesn't all happen at one time because of the elevation changes. It'll start up high, and then the color moves down the side of the mountains. And so I think when we went one time, it was kind of in the middle.
Right.
So the stuff at the top was already done, and the stuff clear at the bottom was still green down in the valleys.
Well, and if you remember when we were there, when we went up to Newfound Gap, it had done a little bit of snowing, remember? There was some snow, and so it was kind of cool that we kind of missed some of the fancy colors, but there was a little bit of snow.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I think the Smokies is a good trip.
Again, it's just based on timing.
Right.
And then another one I remember that we took our nephew. We did a little hiking with Shenandoah Valley National Park, and that one, it was okay. Again, I think we just didn't. I don't know if the weather conditions over the summer didn't produce great color
that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been out there a couple times in the fall.
It tried to do it different.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, but I think that is a good place because, again, to me, like the foliage in Indiana can be pretty, but we're pretty flat here.
That's the problem,
especially in Northeast Indiana.
You need hills, I think. Some
and
kind of
so
hills.
like Shenandoah National Park, Smoky Mountain National Park are both really good because you can look up the mountains, you can be up at the top looking down, and yeah, so I think that's, and what I love about, what I always envisioned about Shenandoah, and I'm not sure we ever fully got it.
No, we didn't.
Was, being up high and being able to look down in the valley and see the color,
colors.
or the opposite, being down in the valley and look up. So yeah, I think the couple times we went in the fall, the colors weren't spectacular.
Yeah, they were okay. I think they were past or something.
Right.
We didn't get the brights. We had more of the yellows, and it might just too be based on the trees.
Yeah, and
different trees.
Well, the types of trees
Yeah.
definitely will play into those colors. And the thing I remember about Shenandoah, though, and I'm guessing you could find this anywhere if you do your research ahead of time. We just happened to show up on a weekend at Shenandoah National Park,
awesome.
where they had like a fall fest going on, and they had
remember
like
the cobbler? Was it blackberry?
Blackberry cobbler was delicious.
Because there in the summer you can pick blackberries.
Yeah.
Remember, you can do that. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had like music and just food and that type of thing. So Shenandoah was a good fall trip for us. We've also done fall trips a lot closer to home, and
I can think of what is the one in Ohio. Did we go to Ohio, the Long National Park? Did we do that one time?
Cuyahoga National Park, right?
Did we do that?
Cuyahoga?
I think
Cuyahoga?
so. I think that's what's called.
I don't know. I don't know why all of a sudden I forget how you pronounce Cuyahoga National Park.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, we did a fall trip over there, and again, it might have been timing. The leaves were a lot of yellows.
Well, I think that time it was a lot of rain. We had a lot of rain,
and a lot of the leaves had come down. But what I do remember about that trip is, at the bottom of the national park, near the bottom, the farmer's market.
Yes.
So there's this like farmer's market.
Unbelievable.
And just mums and pumpkins and all kinds of baked goods like apple pies and apple breads and apple cider. And
because that park is cool, because I think we went with some friends. You ride your bike.
Yeah.
And there's a trail. You can ride your bike, and then if you get tired, you get on the train. But we found that cool market, and the mums were amazing, and all the fall foods you're thinking of, and and then all the vegetables still going, and pumpkins, and it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've done that. We also one time went to southern Ohio, down to Wayne National Forest, right along the Ohio River.
Yep.
And the colors, again, that was a rainy time period.
They kind of didn't have much.
Yeah, that was a disappointing fall trip. I feel like we also, I'll tell you the trip we've never done, and everybody says we should, which is to go up into northern Michigan.
We need to do that to the UP. The Uper.
And those turn, go to become a Uper for the weekend.
Uper for the weekend.
Uper.
I've heard those could be really pretty.
Yeah, but those start a lot earlier in the season.
Yep.
You know, the thing like the Smokies, good example is you can go to the Smokies in late October and still get some good colors, and may not get good colors until late October.
Right.
On the other hand, the UP of Michigan, by late October, there's probably no leaves left on the trees.
Well, and that's why if you have any flexibility, that app is awesome.
That app really helps you.
Because once you get into September, you can start watching it like I do once a week or weekly or whatever, just seeing where the color is, and then kind of, I'm going to go. Let's plan.
Right.
I can think we went to, didn't we go to the Finger Lakes?
Yes, I was going to talk about the Finger Lakes, and yes.
Okay.
So the Finger Lakes is one of, I would put it up there.
Near Watkins Glen.
Near Watkins Glen. We actually stayed up at Cuyahoga State Park.
Yes.
Something like that.
Something like that.
I don't know. I'm having issues with
don't know.
Kaya.
There are a lot of Cuyahogas.
But we were at the Middle Lake, I think it was, and we
the
stayed
middle finger. They call
the middle finger. Yeah. And it was a state park up there. They do refer to that because don't they have like a marathon around? They call it like the Middle Finger Marathon or something.
Always cracks me up.
Yeah, and I guess by being the middle finger, you get some marketing advantages having a name like that. But that trip would have been perfect had it not have been for the weather.
Yeah, the weather was bad.
Because the foliage, if you remember, was really good.
It was going to be, because we had a nice driving day.
Yes, it was
to
gorgeous.
Get there. It was beautiful, and then it just rained
pretty much the whole time we were there.
Yeah.
But the colors were good, if you remember. There was lots of deep reds and oranges. And we went over to Tim's Pumpkin Patch.
Yes, that's fun.
And which is, just a cool place to visit.
All the pumpkins.
And then, there's the great thing about going to the Finger Lakes for the fall is you can drink because there's lots of wine. Yeah, you drink all the wineries.
Get some cheese at Miranda.
Miranda Cheese Company.
Because they had cider.
Right.
when we popped in there that time. So,
yeah. So the Finger Lakes is definitely, if you're anywhere near the Finger Lakes, that can be a good area. And you don't necessarily have all the elevation.
No.
But
it's real pretty. It's hilly.
Yeah, because you're up on the hill and then looking
look
down
down
in the
at
lakes. And yeah, so that was a good one. Well, these are all of places we have actually visited, went leaf peeping.
But my favorites.
And hold on, don't say it yet. We're gonna save time here because I think we're gonna spend a little bit of time. And this just seems like the point where we reveal our absolute favorite.
Do I need a drum roll?
We might, but before a drum roll, I have to say that if you're looking for places to go with your RV, whether it's in the fall, summer, spring, or winter, you really need to think about subscribing to RV Destinations Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Because RV Destinations Magazine, they're friends of the podcast. Actually, they're friends of ours. What am I talking about? And Randy and Callie just do an outstanding job with the magazine. I'm going to put a link down in the show notes. We don't make any money off this link, but what it will do is save you, I think, 20% on any subscription. The magazine itself comes out 4 times a year. Plus, they do a separate bonus Best of the Best each spring.
Yep. Got that too.
And you can get it digitally. You can get it in print. You can get digital and print. My suggestion is you get the VIP package, which includes everything. Digital, print, all 4 editions, plus the super bonus edition. Super. So anyway, thank you.
And the magazines are so nice.
Yeah. So thank you to our friends Randy and Callie. They're just always so supportive of the channel. So I wanted to shout them out because I think it's good for anyone who's, even if you're not an RVer, RV Destinations Magazine is a great magazine if you're just looking for places to go out. And what I love about the magazine, unlike most magazines that have a ridiculous amount of advertising in them, there's like less than 10% of the magazine is actually ads. It's just photos and high-quality articles of places to visit.
Beautiful.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, we all enjoy a good how to keep your black tank smelling good article, but that's not what you're going to find in RV Destinations.
Is that what you enjoy?
If you have a stinky black tank, you might.
Black tank?
All right, well, anyway, check out RV Destinations Magazine. Right. We'll leave that information down in the show notes. All right, so the number 1 location that we have been to multiple times because we feel like we love it. It to us is it epitomizes fall.
And if you haven't gone in the fall, you must.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
And
it's lovely.
And dear, I'm going to let you reveal
Vermont.
Vermont, absolutely. In my opinion, hands down,
the best
fall foliage. I know the people from New Hampshire, people up in Maine are all going to be screaming at me. But in my opinion, and it's just an opinion.
And I think, at least for our perspective, it's so awesome because you have all the maple trees and they have evergreen. So when you're driving through, is it the Green Mountains?
Yep.
And you're driving along and you're going wherever you want to go, and you can see the color just pops off of that evergreen. And it is just beautiful. We love Woodstock. We've loved going to Baird Farm.
Yep.
And it's just beautiful there. We've had so many cool trips, and we've picnicked and, went looking at leaves and got pumpkins and picked apples. And it's just a blast.
And I have to say, from a foliage standpoint, like when you get to a point where, and there's lots of places in Vermont in the mountains to look, but the color is literally like a patch quilt of color. And like you said, you get a little bit of that pine mixed in with all those reds and oranges and yellows. And like I remember the first time we got up there and the sun popped out. And it was like, oh my God, this is the photos you see. Like I felt I was at one of those photos.
Well, especially like Vermont Country Store, where it's located. You go down into it a little bit, but all the trees around it, and you got the red barns, and it just feels like the sky is bluer. I don't understand, but it is. And you got all the color, and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Especially on a sunny day, beautiful.
I mean, honestly, I feel like you and I should write an article for RV Destinations Magazine just on visiting Vermont.
It's
and primarily, we have nothing against any part of the state. But what we really love, as Patty said, is, Keechee Gorge, which I'm sure I pronounced wrong. But Woodstock, and Rutland, and then going north up towards Stowe.
I have a vision in my mind. Do you remember taking that picture of the cute church with the steeple in Stowe, and in the background you have the hill and the mountain there,
and that color was
beautiful. Or you go up to the Trap Lodge, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Trap Family Lodge,
and
from
they're up
the Sound
high,
of Music.
and then you can look
down
on the town, and it's just cool. I remember we had Delaney at the time, and we've been there many times, but we tented, and we went to, was it Woodstock, and we hiked a trail at Billings Farm.
Yeah, so Billings Farm, which is part of the national park
It
system,
is neat.
you can actually take it. And you say hiking.
Walking.
It's a walking trail, a little bit of incline, but it's easy. This isn't like a rugged hike. But yes, if you walk the trail up this incline, you will get to the top and you can look down on Woodstock.
Yeah, there's like benches up there. I remember as we were walking, there was some ponds that were so smooth.
Well, I got some great video of the leaves literally raining down on you. Because there was just a light breeze that day. The sun was out, and I got some great photos of like leaves coming down on you and Delaney. Yeah, I don't think I could say enough about how magical Vermont foliage actually is.
I mean, we love Vermont, period. We love Maine. We love those states.
New Hampshire. Yeah.
We've hiked in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
We've been up there in New York and all that. But there's just something magical if you hit it just right in October. And we usually have to go near mid to late October because that's when my fall break was. And it is just, it's been picture perfect. In our opinion, because, it's usually a short trip for us. Once we get into New York and during the first night we were usually driving, but the next day it's still part of the vacation because you're driving and the colors through New York up to Vermont are just gorgeous.
Yeah, and I think, again, we could just do a whole episode on visiting New York. I mean, Vermont.
Well, and
New York too, yeah, because we do a whole Finger Lakes episode.
Uh-huh.
But the thing about Vermont is when you get, and you want to get off, there's not a lot of freeways in Vermont, which is good.
Yeah.
And you get off, and I wished I could remember. I should have written this down ahead of time. But I want to say it's like Vermont 100.
Isn't it like 101 or something?
Something like that runs north-south from Stowe down. And, I mean, you pass waterfalls, and you go through all these quaint little towns, and then there'll be along the way, typically there's places to stop for really good maple syrup. But if you want the best maple syrup, you need to head over to Chittenden and go see our friends at Baird Farms because by far Baird Farms maple syrup, and I'm being serious, this is not a paid endorsement.
Awesome.
There is something about their maple syrup that is just better.
Their
That's
trees on their mountain.
Sorry, everybody
awesome.
else, but
yeah.
But and that's how we found the Bairds.
Just meandering.
It was a fall trip.
Yep.
And Patty and I were just riding around because I just get on roads and drive and to see the foliage, and we saw a sign that said Maple Syrup Farm.
Yeah, because we've had friends before said, "How'd you find it?" We're like, we didn't. We just were meandering.
Yeah.
On those trips, we don't have an itinerary. We usually don't, because you just want to enjoy and not be stressed on where to go, what to do, and all this stuff. You just drive because the leaves are what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And then everything else.
We saw that sign, and I followed the road. And
just bonus.
And now we've become friends with them. But their maple syrup is
awesome,
just phenomenal. But yeah, I mean that's the thing about Vermont. You find the maple syrup farms that you can go visit. You can find. Well, obviously there's the big stuff like Ben and Jerry's is there. Highly recommend stopping at Apple
what is it? Where the cider press? Cold Hollow. That's cool in the fall because you can actually, if you time it right. And I'm sure they do it more often in the fall.
Right.
But they press the apples.
And make cider.
And you can watch the press. And then you get the fresh cider. You can have a little sip right there. They have a little dispensary. And it is
That's
awesome.
Cold Hollow up near Stowe, Vermont.
That's
in fact,
so good.
when you go up there, as you're going into town in Stowe, you're going to have Ben and Jerry's. You're going to have Cold Hollow you can stop at. You're going to have the Lake Champlain Chocolate Company, the Cabot Co-op where you can sample Cabot cheeses and buy cheeses and different products. And then Stowe is that town that has that iconic church with the steeple.
All you need is Bing.
Yeah.
And rosemary.
I know. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And then the Trapp Family Lodge,
Yes.
which, for those of you that know Sound of Music, that's the Trapp family.
Alive.
Yeah. And they are. I mean, they settled there because they felt like it
reminded them of their
Austria.
Home. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all of that's right there near Stowe. And then, like I said, we also like to go a little further south down to, like
Keechie
Gorge, and Woodstock also has an iconic church. They have that iconic green.
Well, remember the covered bridges we found?
The wooden bridges in Vermont.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we just love doing all of that. And then you're always going to find, I mean, don't forget King Arthur. I like to go over to King Arthur.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
If you're a baker.
Dartmouth.
Yeah. And then right across, literally just a stone's throw away, you can head over to Hanover, New Hampshire, which is just the other side of the highway, and visit Dartmouth. Yeah. Then you can say you went to Dartmouth.
We did.
We did. People always like, what'd you major on? I'm like, we didn't. Oh, we didn't.
Drinking a coffee?
Yeah. We went over and had.
We walked around?
Had lunch.
Some Chinese.
Yeah, had some. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's just lots like Billings Farm. I totally forgot about Billings Farm, that you can go out there. That's a neat thing to see.
When I remember on our first trip, I don't know what it was called, but we found alongside the road a cute little place to look at mums or apples or pumpkins or whatever, and then they had those maple syrup buckets.
Oh,
and someone had painted them, like an artist had painted on them, and we have one. We use it at the cabin right by the fireplace for magazines or something. But, yeah, it was like for a tapping of the tree. Yeah, it was cool.
And if you're looking for a place to camp in Vermont, number one, if you have a small trailer or you want a tent camp, Gifford Woods State Park.
Beautiful.
We've stayed there multiple times.
Doesn't the AT go through there?
Yes, it does, right near there. And the thing about Gifford Woods, I'm trying to remember what was the last trailer we had in there. I think it was the Lance.
It would be the Lance.
Yeah, and we were pushing it with the Lance.
It was tight.
Yeah. So we can't go in there anymore with the Alliance. They're not made for that. But not too far from Gifford Woods is the KOA at Keechie Gorge.
Beautiful.
One of the
awesome.
finest KOAs in America, in my opinion.
I'd almost call it a resort-like place.
Except it's so small.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. It's not one of those mega KOAs. It's a small, quaint, meticulously kept KOA that can handle big rigs.
Yep. They have big rig capability.
Yep. And so that's a great place. Or if you prefer to stay up at Stowe, we have camped now a couple times, maybe 3, at Goldbrook, which is just outside of Stowe.
Yep, it's right along
just
there.
Just a private, family-owned campground. Nothing super fancy about it, but nice sights and,
And what's cool is it's just so open there, and you can see the hills.
Yeah.
And so you'd see the color, and you're close to everything you want to do. And it's not huge. It's quiet. And there's a creek or something that runs by, and you can walk to it. It's just a pretty place. The pups love it because there's lots of room to roam and run for them.
So, I mean, that's where we've camped up there if you're looking. And I'm sure there's lots of
other, there's others.
But those are the 3 places where we typically stay.
Yep.
Smoke Rise is another one that was just north of Rutland. We camped there once, and that was nice. I mean, that trip was only marred by the fact that I had just ripped the AC off of our brand new fifth wheel last summer.
Like being on the sun, it was
it was
hot.
But the campground. So if you want to stay closer down near Rutland,
there's a nice place there.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's that to us is the best place if you want to go leaf peeping.
In my mind, if I'm going to go leaf peeping, that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if I could choose, if they said you can go any place you want this fall for a weekend, and I will tell you, Vermont's peak is usually the first or the second weekend in October. And a lot of times the second weekend is too late.
Yeah, sometimes
they go quicker.
It's quicker there, because it gets cooler. The temperatures get cooler quicker. So,
right. So if you can't travel till closer to the end of October, and again, I feel like I know we have an audience that expands outside of Indiana.
You're going to need to go south.
Some of you live out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I don't know where you guys go for leaf peeping.
I don't know if you go to Colorado. I've heard sometimes you can go there.
Maybe there. But, if you're...
I'm sure Oregon is beautiful. And
But if you're in the Midwest and you can't make it to Vermont, in the first couple weeks, then you may want to consider more like a Shenandoah
Yep.
or a Smoky Mountains,
Mm-hmm.
because those are going to go later because they're further south.
We've never been like to Asheville in the fall, and it might be pretty there
I bet
too.
Asheville would be a good fall trip.
Because you know, the arboretums down there, and
Yeah.
I bet you could do that. So yeah, I love fall.
I do too.
Fall's
That's
my
why I wanted to
favorite.
record this episode, and I wanted to get it out now because there's still time. If you want to take a leaf peeping trip, you may be able to schedule it. And we just thought, well, we'll share some of the places we've went, and
Yeah,
so,
and I'm so ready to go to Good Times Horticulture and go see Kelly and get myself a mammoth mum.
a mammoth mum. Those
That's what I'm
things
calling
are
it.
huge.
They look beautiful. And Kelly, and we need to learn this. You learned one quick note that we always have misdecoration, but if you plant them now, like
Right.
where this is what, end of August time,
Right.
that they will survive and come hopefully back
Yeah.
easier next year. So I'm like,
Yeah, because
yay.
apparently Kelly said I've been doing it wrong all
We've been
these
doing
years.
it
I'm like,
wrong.
Kelly, they never come back. And he's like, when do you plant them? I'm like, well, after we've enjoyed them, and then we put them in the ground. And he's like, that's your problem.
they're dead.
When you buy them, you need to plant them immediately, let them get acclimated to the soil
So I want
before.
one. Yes.
So, yeah, so we'll probably do that.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Well, let us know if you have time to leave a comment down below. Where do you go leaf peeping? Like,
Yeah.
wherever you live. Like, where do you like to go, and what would be the ideal location if you could go to go see leaves?
And if anybody's in Michigan, especially the Ooper, let us know because we
Yeah, I
want to
know.
address we're so close. We should do that.
Yeah,
sometime.
we're like 4 hours away from the UP. We probably should do that.
We should
sometime.
probably do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. A huge shout out to Mr. Jim Kuzman,
you,
the man
Jim.
behind the podcast that keeps us operating.
Makes us sound awesome.
Makes us sound awesome. He's our friend, more importantly than just our producer.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
All right, everyone, and thank you to all of you for listening.
Bless
and we appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see ya.
On down the road.
Bye.
Travels with the lady. We'll see you on down the road.